Hello there, I'm Dr. Sue Morter from Morter Institute, and I am thrilled to just take a moment and share with you some of the basics of what to expect if you were getting a B.E.S.T treatment. What is a B.E.S.T treatment session? The B.E.S.T stands for Bioenergetic Synchronization Technique, and it means that energy is supposed to be flowing through your whole body, and it's supposed to be evenly distributed throughout your whole body. And what happens when we get either injured or we become chronically ill, all because the chronic illness would be a byproduct of short-circuiting our nervous system in some way, that it has now an out-picturing that is keeping my body from being able to heal itself. So as we dive into this, I want you to have some basic understanding here. First of all, I'm Dr. Sue, this is Deanne. Wave to everybody. Okay, that is here, has volunteered to just jump on the table and help us get a view of what's going on. So what I want you to understand is that there are two systems that run your body. One is the electromagnetic energy system. It's invisible energy. It's kind of what acupuncture uses with the needles to redirect the energy flow through the body, through chi, movement, etc. And the vital force being moved through the body through the use of different pressure points or needle points, etc. So you can kind of imagine what that is. It's this invisible energy field, which science in the last 20 years has made tremendous inroads in studying the details of all that. It's phenomenal what it is. And this work has been around since the 70s and has been being developed all along and brings us up to today and infusing new science into the explanation of it. But the beauty of the work is it was in its pristineness already, prior to science explaining all of it. So it's a very exciting time to be able to offer an understanding of this to you. So this electromagnetic invisible energy actually built your nervous system in the developing embryo, in the womb. So it's the master system, and that's what we're working with. Energy, bioenergetic synchronization. What it means is that we're going to synchronize all the energy in the body so that it's flowing in a harmonious fashion, instead of too much of it here, not enough here, too much here, not enough here. Things don't heal, things hurt and become inflamed when they're overstimulated. The nervous system's job is to run sensory inputs and motor inputs back and forth from the body to the brain, the body to the brain, the body to the brain. And so we're going to use both systems. We're going to make sure both systems are working, functioning normally, and that they're talking to each other perfectly. That's when we know that we have a harmonious system here. So that's what we get to do with this work. So the electromagnetic energy system, the nervous system, both of them have to be working right. And then they have to talk to each other in order for your body to heal on its own. So the number one reason that this energy gets interrupted is unresolved emotion. And so what I'm going to be showing you is how different emotions affect the body in an instant. So we would probably think immediately that positive emotions would affect us one way and negative emotions would affect us negatively. And I want you to understand that what this work is doing is it's treating all emotions equally, meaning you can have a negative experience with a positive emotion and it will still have a short-circuiting effect on you. So love or joy or delight could actually cause a short-circuiting in your system if you were enjoying yourself, you were in a full state of delight, and you got in trouble right in that moment. If you got in trouble for enjoying yourself or doing something that was fun to you, but it was associated with disappointing someone and it shuts you down, now your subconscious, whose job it is to protect you, has memorized joy or delight or having fun with something negative happening, an outcome. So now, if that information is stored at the subconscious level, every single time you start to approach joy, full out joy again, your subconscious kicks in to a defensive state and keeps you from being able to experience it 100% because it has it recorded that when you hit this vibrational frequency of joy, you get in trouble. So you start approaching it and your system will even, get this, sabotage your ability to even experience joy to that degree because it knows that you're headed for danger. So this happens with intimacy, it happens with revealing your deep true self, it happens with communication, it happens with healing, it happens with being creative, it happens with being courageous. All these things that we want to be in life oftentimes have been shut down and stored in subconscious memory levels that are keeping us not only from experiencing those delightful experiences, but also shutting down and short-circuiting the same nervous system that is ultimately responsible for healing the body. So, not okay. So we to return to healing and to return to being able to reveal our joyous selves, we have to go back in and find where in the subconscious that information is stored and pull it up and reprogram it so that the energy is no longer blocked, the system's no longer short-circuited, and the next thing you know, energy is flowing through the system, through the body, the way that it's supposed to be once again, and then your symptoms magically go away. So I just want to show you a couple of things. One of the things that we'll be doing is testing your arm. We want to see if when you don't bend your elbow and you don't lift your shoulder off and you relax your wrist, and your practitioner will show you how to do all that accurately, that I'm going to push this toward her feet and I want to see if her arm is strong. It's not an arm wrestling contest. It's just to see, what kind of strength exists right here. So she's going to hold right there. Oh, she's going to hold right there. Nobody's home. Okay, good. So it's a good thing we're here. Okay, so now she's going to hold it right here, and that one's strong. So you see the difference here. So this one, look at this, is sweet. You're trying, right? You're like, she's really trying. Okay, and it's just boom, short-circuiting. So if you could imagine that her body is supposed to be gray everywhere, and right now we know that it's white over here where it's weak, and it's black over here instead of being gray everywhere. This one's super weak, this one's extra strong, and there's an imbalance going on. So those are the kinds of things that we're looking for to see, okay, let's map this out. So there's the upper body showing us this, and we're going to have her eyes open and test this, and then we're going to have her close her eyes and test the same thing, and it's still weak. Keep her eyes closed and come over here, and it shows us a different pattern, something different going on here. And all of these things, your practitioner has been trained to evaluate and categorize and have an understanding about what we're observing. We're also seeing if there's flexibility in the hip joints, if the hips roll out and they roll in easily. We're also checking to see if there's a leg length difference. And I wish that we had another camera right here on her feet, because it would show you that this right leg is about an inch shorter than the left leg. And so on that, maybe we'll insert a visual here and show you an image of what we're looking at so that you can see what I'm looking at. So when we're finished with her, when we're finished with this woman, both of her arms are going to be strong, and both of her legs are going to be even in length and equal in rotation. And that's how we determine if the muscle activity is balanced. We know the nervous system activity is balanced, which we know that the electromagnetic energy system is being balanced at the same time. There's a lot more information that I could go into here, but this isn't to try to teach you how to do this. It's just trying to show you what's going to happen here. So there is a chart that we're using here that is a chart which is a list of different emotions, positive and negative emotions, and they're categorized. They're not put into categories because of what they mean. They're just thrown onto a grid that allows us to find a particular word quickly. Like if you were looking for a certain street on a map, if you remember what maps are. Does anybody remember what a paper map is? Like, they don't even exist anymore. I mean, they do, but nobody uses them. But you would look up, you wanted to find Locust Street, you would look it up alphabetically somewhere on the key of the map, and it would say it's at A15. So you'd come across the top to A, and you drop down the side to 15, and there's that street that you're looking for. Put you in the neighborhood. So that's what this is set out to do. It just allows us to find an energy that we call an emotion. And what happens is, if someone has had a negative experience with one of these emotions, their body is going to react to it as if it's happening right now, as if that upset is happening right in this moment. So I'll show you here. So we're just going to find it. We're just going to find a word that's on this chart that is a reactive word with her body. Okay, so the word jovial. Now, this is a perfect example. Like, how could jovial be a problem? Well, she was probably jovial at some point, and she got nailed. She got in trouble. She got blindsided. She got the rug pulled out from under her. And so now, every time she experiences jovial, it throws her nervous system into fight or flight, getting ready for that bear that was associated with jovial before, getting ready for it to come again. So she's preparing herself for that. And in doing so, she's also short-circuiting, subconsciously, short-circuiting her system and never allowed to approach such energies as jovial. So this arm was strong with her eyes open. So her eyes are going to be open, and she's going to think of the word jovial. She's going to think the word jovial. And this strong arm, you see what happens. Are you trying? I know she's trying. It's like gone. She's just gone. It just pulls the plug, like pulling the plug on the computer that doesn't have a battery. It's just off. So we got to get her plugged in again, basically. So basically what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go find out where in her brain, where in her central nervous system, this information that jovial is a bad thing is stored. And so by finding out where it is stored, I'm then going to act like jumper cables, basically, and reconnect the circuits so that her system gets a new message that jovial is actually safe. It's like an update. It's like updating your computer. So to do that, what we do is we're going to just find a variety of things. We're looking for contact points, where we're going to put her hands and what she has to focus on, and a position she's going to put her eyes, and simple things like that you're going to be doing as the practitioner calls these things out to you. So we're going to see what that is. Okay, so she's going to have her eyes need to be closed, and she's going to roll them up like she's looking up. And I'm going to contact these 2 points right here, and she's going to take a breath in and hold it in. And she's going to focus on the numeral 7, the number 7, and she's going to focus on a feeling of forgiveness as it relates to jovial. She doesn't have to know the story. She doesn't have to figure out how it relates, what happened. She doesn't have to know any of that. She just has to focus on the idea of jovial or the feeling of jovial, and at the same time focus on a feeling of forgiveness, of embracing it, of it being okay and being safe again. And she's holding her breath. She's going to hold her breath in as long as she can, and she's going to let it out when she has to. And here's why. The longer she holds her breath, the more her nervous system starts evaluating, do I really need to hold on to all this tension and this imbalance and this pattern and this issue about jovial? Because all of that consumes a lot of oxygen, energy, oxygen, energy, oxygen. And if I could just let go of it, then it might consume less energy, less oxygen, and she could live a little longer. So it's a survival technique that we're using on itself to help it break a pattern that's just not serving her anymore. So she holds her breath as long as she can. She lets it out when she has to. And then as she lets that out, I'm checking to see, I'm holding these 2 points, I'm kind of acting like jumper cables. And while I'm holding them, I'm feeling for a pulse. And I wait for that pulse to synchronize between these 2 points. And once it synchronizes, I know that we've established a better form of communication between these 2 areas of the brain that her body told me through a pattern that I was observing. Her body told me, here's where the problem is. So then I'm going to have her lift her head, which activates her subconscious memory and her cerebellum and her writing reflex and all kinds of things that the practitioner's been studying and understands. And then we're going to test to see if she now can think of jovial without it creating a short-circuiting. But we used this arm, so let's start there. Her eyes were open. She's going to think of jovial and hold right here. Excellent. It's very strong. Now close your eyes. Think of jovial. See, we want to test it with her eyes open, jovial. And here's this weak arm that got strong. And close your eyes, jovial. Excellent. So what we know, yay, you're going to make it, all right? We know that we just made a difference, that we created a synchronization and a reconnection of communication in the brain that wasn't there, that had been short-circuited some way, somewhere along the way. So now I'm going to come down here and see the criteria that we're using down here. Her legs were very flexible, turning them in and turning them out, but her right leg was long, and her legs are even. That's pretty impressive. We're good at this, all right? So her legs are even now, and when she thinks of jovial with her eyes open, they're even, and thinks of jovial with her eyes closed, they remain even. So we were able to clear this emotion. So here's what this is, translating to what we described in the previous video that I hope you've watched, and if you haven't, please do watch it, that we talked about the number one reason for the interruption of energy flow in the body is unresolved emotion. There was some emotion pocketed over here, and because it was pocketed somewhere in her body, it wasn't allowing that energy to get here, and it was causing her arm to be weak. And we unpocketed it by connecting the dots in the nervous system in the brain, which sent signals up and down in the body that immediately start reevaluating, okay, where are we? It was like the computer was jammed right in the middle of a process, and you unjammed it, and it immediately picks up where it left off. And it might have been jammed for 15 years or 25 years. It might have been jammed for a long time on whatever words are being released and cleared within this system. And so what we'll then do is realize that the body's going to immediately pick up and start running a check and balance and updating and clearing and cleansing and healing. And so you might go through a process that's called reactivation, where all of a sudden you have this neck stiffness that you haven't had for 15 years, and you didn't have it when you came in, but now you have some neck stiffness, but your low back or your hip or your arm or your ankle is better, but now you have this other thing. Promise, this is going to go away. It's going to come and work right through it and go back away, being more resolved than it actually was, but your body might have been reacting to a bigger priority, and you weren't aware that this tension was actually there because there was some other pattern that was overriding it. So the body starts flipping back and forth and unwinding all these old patterns, and you start healing rapid fire. You start healing very quickly, and things start shifting, all because we've gotten the energy flowing again. Now, this is one short round with things that I'd come down here and I'd go through a whole protocol that would tell me if we had other things that we needed to be addressing. I would ask questions like, is her priority, I'm going down through a checklist in my mind, and by doing so, her body is responding to what I'm doing. I'm checking to see, does her leg go short in this situation? Does her arm go weak in this situation? And so we know a protocol to evaluate the kinds of things that are going to create a short-circuiting, or that are creating a short-circuiting. And then we come over here and we look it up on this list. So basically, I find a pattern in her that took me to column 2, G4 or whatever, and it would take me to a word. And then I say that word to you, to the client on the table. I say the word, and in the midst of doing so, it will recreate the short-circuiting that it is responsible for. So then we find the criteria that it's going to take to clear that, and as we do, the synchronization happens, and the word no longer has a charge or a short-circuiting effect on the body. So I'll go down and do another one. Think of age 6. Now, I don't even know what it was at age 6, but she thinks of age 6 and something happened. So let me show you this. It's quite fascinating. She thinks of age 6 and her arm does this. If I have her, that's what her body told me to check based on the pattern that it was demonstrating. Her body was demonstrating a certain pattern, and I was able to say, think of age 6, boom. So now I'm just going to pick an age, and I want you to see what happens. Think of age 5. So at age 5, arm is strong as a rock. Think of age 6, push back here. It's nothing there. Something happened between 5 and 6, right there, that short-circuited her system. She doesn't even have to know what it was in order for us to change this for her. This is the beauty of this work. So you don't have to talk about your issues. You don't have to go into it. You don't have to, figure it out even. You don't even have to know what it is. The practitioner doesn't need to know. The client doesn't need to know what we're even healing, what we're even dealing with, in order for the system to start rapid fire, picking up again and doing what it was built to do. It is some of the most beautiful work on the planet as far as getting the combination of talk therapy, no talk therapy, and energy work combined in a fashion that allows us to efficiently get to the number one priority that is behind the scenes. So I'm going to find out what the nature of this was at age 6. We can find out some more information. So there is a word, guilt. So the word guilt comes up. So she thinks about guilt. And so we know that guilt in age 6 is going to have it has a short-circuiting effect on her. So now we're going to find out where on the brain we need to work to clear this up. So she's going to close her eyes and roll them up and take a breath in and hold it in. And there's 2 different contact points that I'm going to be holding this time. So our hands are polarized and the different parts of the skull are polarized when you're sitting up or laying down. There are all kinds of great details that we're working with in the study of B.E.S.T. And she's going to take her breath in and hold it in. Did I tell you the number? Did I tell you the number? Think of the number 7 and think of guilt. Hold your breath in. So something happened at age 6. It responded in or resulted in a feeling of guilt. It could, who knows what it is. It could be anything. It doesn't matter. What matters is that the vibrational frequency of guilt has a short-circuiting effect on her system. And it's been keeping her since she was 6 years old from being everything that she could be. So she's been trying extra hard to live this life and to do this thing called life, harder than she needs to work because her system's been compromised and shut down in certain ways. So she's going to be like a superhero by the time we connect these dots and have her functioning in all of the ideal ways because she's built super skills because of having to compensate for the short-circuitings that have occurred in her system. This is true for all of us. So as it starts to come online, we start becoming super effective because we've built compensatory skills, meaning we try harder to get things done. Now we won't have to try so hard to get the same thing done, and we'll have extra robust energy left over. So these circuits are already connected. I can feel a pulse, and you're going to raise your head and lower it down. Think of guilt. Hold here. Hold here. Eyes closed. Hold here. Hold here. Think of age 6. Hold here. And here. Eyes closed. And then open your eyes here. Age 6. Age 6. Sweet. Okay, so you start to see things like this, that we're putting the pieces together and we're connecting the circuits so that your system can process it. Your system wants to deal with these things, that it has been overridden by these short-circuitings, and it does not want that to continue. Nature's on her side. What we're trying to get your body to do, it was built to do in the first place. It's just been stuck in a rut and doing the best that it could ever since age 6, for instance, in this situation. So what we would do is come down and go through several rounds of this until the system begins to harmonize. And eventually it would say, that's all I can do right now. It'll just balance out as clear, where the legs will be equal in length and rotation, the arms will be revealing in strength in both sides with the eyes open and the eyes closed, and then we know we're getting to a place where the conscious and the subconscious, when the eyes are open, we're addressing the conscious mind. When the eyes are closed, we're addressing the subconscious mind, subcortical areas of the brain. And we want them to be talking to each other through that trap door so that the trap door kind of disappears. So what we're doing is muscle tests up here in the arm. What I'm doing down here with the legs is I'm rotating them and I'm doing the equivalent of a muscle test with the arm this way, but I'm doing it with a leg check this way to see, to go down a checklist to see all these different patterns that could be showing up. And when it lands on a pattern that is short-circuiting, the leg length shifts or it locks up and it won't rotate, or the arm test goes weak. And so we're able to ask lots of questions and go down our checklist rapidly with the leg length, whereas the arm would get tired if we were testing it all the time for all the criteria that we're using. So we're able to get feedback from the body that is telling us what's going on with the invisible world inside the body, in the electromagnetic energy system, and in the central nervous system, and we're making sure that they are functioning properly and that they're talking to each other so that this system can move from a defensive fight or flight mode into a healing and filtering and cleansing mode where we not only heal and filter and cleanse, but we also can move into our creative genius and operate as the creative individuals that we are intended to be in this life, functioning robustly, jovially, and joyfully, and any other way that we intend. So we might go through 5 or 6 or 7 of these rounds of holding these points and clearing these things and having you focus on certain things. At certain times you're going to be asked to come and focus deep inside your body and see if you feel a charge here or there or wherever. Or you might be asked to focus up above your head or down below your feet based on the criteria that the practitioner is finding that is in priority for you, all of which will be explained at the point where it's relevant to you. But I just wanted you to understand that there are emotions that are short-circuiting us. There's a way to reconnect the dots or reconnect the circuits and allow your body to start functioning again the way that it's designed to, because you're supposed to be healing. And if you're not, there's a reason, and there's a darn good reason. And there's nothing wrong, there's nothing broken, there is nothing missing here. It's just a short-circuiting in a system. It's a circuitry issue, and we are here to establish those circuits with the energy codes, with body awake yoga, and with B.E.S.T technique in every way that we possibly can. So please inquire, don't hesitate to reach out, because we're here for you and have some pretty profound answers just waiting to apply them in your life, in your particular way. So the body will give us all kinds of information about practical activities that you should do after your session to help you integrate and enhance and improve your ability to sustain what we're doing, and your practitioner will share all those things with you. So it's been a fabulous moment to be able to share this with you. Thank you for plugging in, and I look forward to being able to serve you in whatever way possible. Thank you so much for your yes in the world, for taking personal stewardship for your lives, your health, and your vitality. It makes for a better world and a conscious community. Blessings to you all.